being seen. I see. Yeah.
I can see her.
Right. I thought she was.
I see Janet.
Yeah, she's there because she joined in. She's in with us in the boardroom. Okay, we're on.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our board meeting for May 7th, 2020. Could we please take the roll, Ms. Pavlik?
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
Mrs. Patterson,
Present.
Mr. Tench,
Here.
Mr. Kennedy,
Here.
Mrs. Boynton.
Okay, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. All right, as we move on to our agenda, we do not have, awards and presentations. Dr. Selico, we're fine with that? Okay, we have no audience participation. And then we're going to go right to item number 4, which is our consent agenda items. Board members, you had an opportunity to review our consent agenda. Any questions or comments regarding the consent agendas? Okay, if none, could we please can I get a motion to approve agenda item 4.01, the consent agenda?
So move.
Point.
Can I get a second? Okay, we have a
Second.
motion by Ms. Boynton and a second by Mr.
No, it was by me. It was by me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Came through kind of too close, but okay, we have a motion by Ms. Patterson and a second by Mr. Tench. Questions or comments? If none, please call the roll, Ms. Pavlik.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. Thank you, board. Okay, we're going to move right along to item number 5, which is the superintendent report and recommendations. Dr. Selico.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Good evening, board. Good evening to those of you who are listening and tuning in. I have 2 items for your consideration this evening, one in which we will ask for a vote. The other is for your information, and that is 5.01. That is the first reading of our board policies, and these are almost all just updates. There's one new policy regarding students at risk for graduation, but the rest are updates from Neola. So this is just your first reading. The second item is 5.02, and I am asking for your approval of a resolution of a memorandum of understanding between the Bedford Board of Education and the Bedford Education Association, BEA, to address the teacher evaluation system, which is the OTES, and supplemental pay. And just to let you know, this evening, the BEA voted and they passed the MOU on their end. So we're asking now for the board's approval. And again, this is just as a refresher, because we are not in school and we are unable to do the OTES process as we normally would, we have had to work with the BEA to come up with a compromise on how we will move forward in our evaluations and how we will handle supplemental pay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, board, can I get a motion to approve, well, just only 5.02 because 5.01 is just the updates and just the first reading. So I need a motion to approve 5.02, the approval of the resolution of the memorandum of understanding between the Bedford Board of Education and Bedford Education Association, BEA, to address the teachers evaluation system, OTES, and supplemental pay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Ms. Boynton. Questions or comments?
Yeah, Andrea, it seemed I'm going over this resolution. Just ballpark. I don't need a firm number. How many hours did you guys spend on this?
Well, I will be honest and tell you, for me, not as many as Dr. Johnson. So she and Miss Duncan were duking it out, battling it out. No, actually, they had a great conversation and they were able to work quite well together. And I just came in when necessary. But yeah, I don't know, Dr. Johnson, if you want us to say anything. Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
You're muted.
I'm just appreciative of the collaboration that we had with BEA and the teacher evaluation, counselor evaluation committee. It was a lot of time and effort, but it was very collaborative.
Well, thank you for all your hard work on that, and tell BEA the same thing, because I can't imagine having to deal with all this with going on and trying to rewrite contract parts in the middle of a stream, kind of, so to speak.
Thank you. I think Trish would appreciate that. Thanks.
Mhm. Okay, any other comments? Okay.
No, thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you. Thank you. There's no other questions or comments. Ms. Pavlik, please call the roll.
Mrs. Patterson,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Stevens.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, which is the superintendent's recommendations as presented by our business manager, Mr. Zagrabi.
Thank you, Mr. President. One matter this evening, that's for use of school facilities. This request came in after our meeting on Monday, so we added it to the regular agenda. It's routine. It's a Sunday use, which requires board approval. The Rotary Club requested to have their scholarships presented in the parking lot of the high school here. It'll be run by the high school administration, sponsored by the high school, but it does still require your approval because it is a Sunday.
Thank you. Okay, board, can I get a motion to approve the use of school facilities?
So moved.
I have a question.
Okay, let's go ahead and get that, and we'll go to the questions at that time. We have a motion by, who was that, Mr. Tench?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Second?
Second.
Okay, by Mr. Kennedy. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Patterson, question.
Mr. Gray, it's a great bit. Excuse me. It's our school, am I correct?
Mr. President, yes, it is, Mrs. Patterson.
And they will
This would
abide by.
normally be done, I'm sure, at senior awards night or some other thing, which obviously we're not going to have, or not going to be in the same format. So this is just an unusual circumstance. This is how they requested to do it, and the high school agreed to it.
Okay, so they're going to abide by all the rules and regulations of 6 feet and all that, and mask and all that?
Mr. Thompson has assured me that they're going to follow all the appropriate protocols.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Jerry, is this the event that they usually have at Birchwood?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, please call the roll, Ms. Pavlik.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
and Mr. Tench.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to our superintendent's report, item number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. I'd like to, I know we're going through a record time here, but I'm going to put a little wrench into it. I wanted to just share some updates, and if people are listening, I have been actually stopped in the community a little bit with some questions, and everyone has been very kind and patient through this process. But a couple people have asked about graduation, which we have firmed up, as well as what things are looking like for next year. So I just want to take a moment to address that. First off, our graduation plan is very solid. We've spent a lot of time, and we've we've delayed as long as we could in trying to make a decision, just seeing if things would change. We know that things change on a daily basis, and we had to revise and go back to the drawing board I don't know how many times, but we do have a nice solid plan. I have had a couple parents reach out in terms of transportation needed perhaps for the drive-in, but they were going to try to make arrangements. I did offer to try to help them if they did need a way to get to the Ravenna drive-in, because we know it's a little bit of a distance. But we are allowing our students an opportunity to walk across the stage and board. Again, I'll remind you again as this comes up, but if anyone is interested in participating in that, we're trying to maintain, as Mrs. Patterson mentioned, the social distancing and how many people we have on the stage, etc. So we're trying to space that out. But that's we're going to put that together as a compilation and a video that we will air at the drive-in. And we also have some additional nice touches. We're going to have some commemorative keepsakes for our students from that evening, as well as yard signs. And I want to give kudos to not only the Rotary, who was kind enough to give a donation, but also every mayor of the city has contributed to afford every child in our graduating class a very nice personalized picture graduation sign that we will put in all of the communities for a couple of weeks. We'll display them on the main thoroughways in each community, and then after that, we'll give them to each student so they can keep as just yet another memento. So that's the plan is posted on the website. We've also emailed it home to the entire district so everyone can see whether they have a senior or not. So we're making those arrangements. And then lastly, as related to this, the question about what next year is going to look like, I could speculate, but I think my guess is good as just about anyone's at this point. We do not know what is going to happen. We met, gosh, I lose track of my days. I know we met yesterday, we met today, and we were discussing, we assigned some, we have a couple task forces, and that we are going to have a variety of people on that will have a return to work plan and then a return to school plan. Because even though they will overlap, they will look different. So from the instructional side, and then again from the practical and safety side, what that will look like. So we are currently beginning that process. We have a document that's already shared with everyone to just continue to put in questions, concerns, comments, suggestions. We're all keeping up on the readings. I know Mrs. Boynton too has sent me a couple articles. I've added that to the collection on what suggestions for next year and things that you don't even think about. And each time I read an article, I just learn something new. So we're going to deposit all of that in one area so people can have resources at their fingertips. But our goal is to plan 3 things, A, B, and C. 1 being a full return to school, what that would look like. 2 would be this hybrid, maybe some kids, some days, and virtual learning blend. And then the 3rd would be in the event that we had to go all virtual. So we're sort of covering all bases, so we're not stuck in July if the governor says either one of those plans is a go and we're caught with nothing planned. So that is how we are planning to address the fall. And as we've mentioned, I've spoken to Mr. Stevens too, and in his position, there are so many unanswered questions. And so we just want you to know that we are working on a plan that will be the best that we can do with what we're given. So the next thing I wanted to address was some of the budget cuts that, and Mrs. Pavlik and I, and actually the team spoke this morning in light of what the governor has reduced our budget by $644,000 approximately, what the impact will be. And while tonight we were supposed to present the 5-year forecast, we chose to take that off because we have not reflected that loss. We did not know when Mrs. Pavlik put it together, nor did we know about the CARES Act money coming in. So while we're going to be receiving federal funds, we're going to be losing state funds. So I don't want people to get excited about $1 million perhaps coming in from the CARES money, because only to be taken $650,000 of that away from us approximately. So we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. We plan on doing that and cabinet on Monday to run numbers and crunch them and really take some time to look at that again and come with you at the end of May with a more accurate, hopefully, forecast. And then lastly, I just want to give a shout out. This week, I was I tried to make a visit. We distribute meals Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I try to get to at least 1 distribution every day. They have 2, lunchtime and evening time. And I will tell you, we were rocking to the point that I was in charge of the taco meat, stuffing containers and putting together breakfast because we were short-handed. And we had 400, we are averaging 407 people a day coming through. And what that means, we double up on meals. So that 407 is really, or 408 is really 816. So I'm working with those ladies and so appreciative of their time and our cafeteria staff and their dedication. They truly are heroes at this point, coming in and under the leadership of Jennifer Dixon. So if you see any of them, just a thank you and just an acknowledgement of the work that they've done, and to our volunteers who have been distributing. I see the same faces there every day, and there are other faces that come in, but we have some real loyal people who are there with their masks on and distributing food, and very appreciative parents, honestly. So I just wanted to end on a positive note. So with that, Mr. Stevens, I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we conclude, I would like to say the other day, the parade was great.
Yes.
The parade was great. I enjoyed riding through the cities. Each board member probably went through their individual cities and probably overlapped into other cities, but it was a great opportunity to see the students and parents out waving signs, and just it was just very rewarding and emotional too, because you know they had signs and saying, "We love you, we miss you," and so did we, and we decorated our cars. So it was very, very touching, and it was very nice. So I wanted to say and kudos to those who put it together, and just the whole overall togetherness that the district had in making this thing work. It was very beneficial, and I want to thank everyone for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Mr. Stevens. It was a wonderful event, and that was the PBIS committee and Mr. Vaughters leading that group of staff members. So great, and we are also planning. Thank you for that reminder too. We are planning a second parade for the final days of school. So that more details to come.
I have a question for you, Dr. Selico.
Yes.
In your plans for next year, you say also about having virtual and having regular school time hours.
Yeah, so those are some things that are on the table. So if, for instance, if the governor says, and we've heard this as a possibility, you can only have 6 kids in a class, 10 kids in a class. So what is that actually going to look like? So if that's the case, you know, would students come on 2 days a week and then the others come on the other 2 days? And then what do they do when they're at home, the days they're not in school? So that would then be the virtual part, is sort of what I was referring to.
Okay, so now for the virtual part, do we have a program for virtual studies and with the teachers overseeing or supervising it? I'm talking about there's a lot of programs out there that other school districts are using for their virtual learning. So do we have anything in place like that?
I've been inundated with emails for all different opportunities. You're right, Mrs. Patterson. And we have not locked into anything at the moment. That is certainly on our list of questions. I can tell you that. And you know, depending on what this looks like, I'm just, you know, virtual is fine to an extent and for some learners and for some period of time, but I just believe you need FaceTime with your, you know, and so that's what we're trying to do. And in our summer programming, you know, we're really going to make a concerted effort to have our teachers, you know, face to face, but you're right. We should be looking, and we are looking for what that could possibly look like. And again, it's the unknown that's killing us right now.
Right. Yeah. I think it's all over.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Bill?
Yes, go ahead.
Has you OHSAA decided what they're doing for fall sports yet?
Not at all. Not at all. I have a meeting coming up with some Northeast District board members, along with the Commissioner Jerry Snodgrass, on a virtual that's coming up, and nothing has been, you know, determined or taken care of that at this point. No, not at all.
Okay, just wondered.
But believe me, when I hear something, we all will know, and probably hear different times, you know, so we'll inform each other.
Okie doke. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, any other comments before we adjourn to go into executive session, board?
Yeah, I got one thing. To Dr. Selico and her staff, and as a parent, I just want to say thank you for this graduation, nightmare you've been going through. And I've talked to many parents, and at the beginning when they heard virtual, I think everybody fell off their seat. And I think you guys came up with a great compromise. And the parents I've talked to have really embraced it. It is what it is, but so thank you, and thank you to your staff and everybody who put that together. I know Ms. Brennan had a lot to do with it, right? So tell them thank you on behalf of myself as a parent and every other parent I talk to.
Thank you. I'll share that.
And one last thing before we go, I would like to concur with Rob, because I tell you, the way that you guys have this handled is very creative. And you're trying to make it as real as possible. And I've heard a lot of positive comments regarding it as well, even from city employees at City Hall, Bedford Heights, and I mean they really made positive comments in saying how creative it was or how it is. So just wanted to at least let you know.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, if there's no other comments or suggestions or anything, we're going to go into executive session. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers before we head out. And those who are viewing or listening, happy Mother's Day. And we're going to go into executive session now.
Do we have to go out and come back in?
Yes, ma'am, because I had sent a link.
I saw it.
Okay, yeah. So I'll tell you what, can we come back on in about 5 minutes? Because I did inform Terry that we would start at 6:30.
Okay.
So it's a little bit earlier, but let's go ahead within 5 minutes. That'll give me a chance to go out and then come back in as well and get things together.
So,
Okay.
Bill, we come back in on the same site here?
Same site, different thing on your calendar.
It's a different link.
It's on your calendar.
Yeah, the one that says executive?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee.
So
Can I
moved.
get a second?
Second.
Okay, we have motion and we have a second by Mr. Kennedy to go into executive session at 6:23. Okay?
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, we're going to call the roll. I'm sorry. Call the roll.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
and Mrs. Patterson.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to go in once again at 6:23. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night. Happy Mother's
See you
Day.
soon.
Bye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.